Okay, so again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Let me just share my book so for us to carry on the study. So this is chapter 26, and the chapter is questions. The item is question that may be addressed to spirits. And we stopped here. The last question, sub-question number 14 from 289. But why are certain persons warned by a presentiment about the time of their death? Most of the time, during its moment of freedom, the spirit itself knows about it, and the person retains an intuition upon awakening. Since these persons have already been prepared, they are neither frightened nor disturbed by it. Sorry. For them, the separation of the soul from the body is only a change of situation. Or, if you prefer a rough example, it is like taking off heavy clothing or donning silk. The fear of death will decrease at the spread of spiritist beliefs. I think this answer brings two important aspects for us. The first one is that some of us have these presentiments because, of course, at night and even during the day, we somehow prepare ourselves for this. So at night, we may be more aware of what is coming for us, that our time is nearly over here. And if we are at a certain degree of spiritualization, if we understand more about this, and this is what we are doing here, we are trying to understand a bit more about life, not just on the physical side, but also, and most importantly, on the spiritual side. So we are preparing ourselves for that. So it wouldn't be a surprise that when our time comes, that we are more prepared in the sense of already being aware, having some presentiment. And some people even prepare themselves. They call those relatives that they haven't seen for a while and after a long time, because they feel this inclination towards doing that. And they sort certain things out. And why is that? Where is that coming from? It's this awareness that we start to have. And the other important thing made clear, the last sentence, is actually the importance of the spiritist beliefs. This, for us, for all of us, for human beings, is very important because it gives us a different perspective of life. While we're here, we better prepare ourselves. We know how to look after ourselves in spiritual terms, because we know that life goes on, and we know what is important and what is not here. Of course, we are still very imperfect. And although we may be aware of the consequences of certain vices that we still have, pleasures that we still take in the physical world, we are not yet strong enough to rid ourselves from them. But that's why we're here, to slowly manage to develop the beauty in us, the divine aspects in us, and at the same time reading ourselves from the mistakes and imperfections that we bring from our past. And I'm somehow making an introduction for the next questions that will come here about concerning past and future lives. But this awareness is very important. We find ourselves more prepared for the reality of the spiritual world and also the moment of transition. Okay. Oh, Sandra, yeah. See, you have your hand raised.
So I have a question. I was thinking, let's say a person, of course, that doesn't have any spiritual knowledge or, of course, didn't do good things, but by the time that the final, the moment of discarnate is approaching, if that person for somehow has the desire, I mean, to regret what she or he has done, or is this will be accepted, and then the person can prepare himself or herself for the passing, for when the person is going to discarnate?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, these moments where we reflect, we look back in our life, some things we start to regret, it's already an awakening, a preparation. Because when we get into the spiritual world, still fully living only the material side of life, it's almost like jumping a high degree. We just crash on the, on the floor, on the ground, without being prepared for this degree, And so it is very important for us. And normally, and even some spirits, they say, the aging of the body allows us, it sort of dims the light of the physical life. The light of the physical, instead of being fully bright, it starts to dim, and then we allow ourselves to reflect, to ponder, to consider things. We see with aging, we start to look back more often and evaluate, our past, our life. And that's what we are supposed to do at the end, getting to the end of a lesson, getting to the end of, practice, to look back and evaluate what we did and what didn't do. But some people just don't regret any wrongs that they did. They would do it over and over again. So going to the spiritual world, their mind is still attached to, what is here and not to what is there, not to the real values of the spirit. But we see, we have a study just, making an advertisement here. We have a study on Wednesday, the book Heaven and Hell. And the part 2 of the book is about spirits who find themselves, there's a group who is happy, there's a group who is so-so, and a group that is very unhappy in the spiritual world. And we clearly see this in what they came back to tell us, and it's there in this book. It's really, really interesting to see the impact of things that we do here, the concerns that we have here, and the lack or not of spiritualization in us when we go to the spiritual world. Because the values there is likely, or I would say even, quite different. And to think that because we were, in social terms, very high up here, when we find ourselves there, that will be taken into consideration for anything. And it's not, the spiritual world or counts are different things. So it's a very, very interesting book. Hi, Christine.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I just started to think when you were talking about people looking back, and it brought to my mind about Alzheimer's disease. Is there any correlation between things like Alzheimer's disease and spiritism at all? I mean, has there been any studies on it?
Yes, what we know is that first, yes, any disease that we have here, any problem, it has to do with our past. Or I wouldn't say 100% of, patients with this or that disease, this is because of, this that they committed in the past and resulted in that. No, we have exceptions for everything. Of course, sometimes some spirits, they are in certain conditions to prepare themselves for what is to come. So they need resignation, patience, they need, So we can say that 100% of the time it is because of this or because of that. But concerning Alzheimer's patients, yes, there is a spiritual, in general terms, there is a spiritual problem, or the root of the problem is in the spirit. And there is also, because it is a condition, a special condition that the spirit is facing in the body, that we will attract enemies from the past, for instance, or spirits who want to, harm the one experiencing that. So in many cases, it's difficult to detach one thing from the other. And that's why some patients become violent. Some patients don't, but some of them may become violent. And but that's all I know about the connection between, what Spiritism teaches us and the disease itself. It's still very little unknown on both sides, but in the physical side as well. There's a lot of research that's being done, but we know that we, as spirits, we have our spiritual body, and our spiritual body is affected by our spiritual situation, and of course that has an impact in the body, since they are linked, intimately linked, molecule by molecule. So what affects one will certainly affect the other. Hi, Elsa
Thank
Lee.
you, Minnie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on, Christine.
Oh, I was just saying thank you, Minnie.
Oh, pleasure. Hi, Elsa Lee.
Good morning, everybody. And I think about disease that they don't discover yet a cure to the disease. And I think for this is about family or parents. My parents had, and I have. How everybody know here. I have a little bit problem. My heart. This is come from my father, my mother. They had the same, and in the me or my sister too, in our I don't know what say in English, intestino, but I don't know. And this is because my father had this problem, and my mother the same, and we not my interest, not my brother, he hadn't, but me and my sister we had same problem, and I always think about what is the reason, because we are parents. I don't know. No, I swear I am a spiritist, but I would like to know if you know Munir or Charles. No, I would like to know about this.
The genetic, yeah.
Portuguese is congenitas.
Yes, the genetic material that we inherit from our parents is part of the experience, we'll have in the physical world. Why we inherit certain things and develop certain things, we can say 100% that because of this or because of that. Because sometimes as part of our experience, we undergo certain problems. As I said to exercise certain faculties of the spirit. We need to be patient. We need to learn with that process. But we may not have a particular problem that we bring from, I suffer from the heart. So I broke so many hearts in the past. So that's why I suffer so much of this. No, sometimes it's part of the learning process. And of course, even carrying in our genetic material, inherited from our parents, certain tendencies to develop certain types of problems. Some of us may develop, some of us may not. And why is that? Because, of course, there's the spiritual element, utilizing that, to develop a certain disease, cancer, for instance. We know that there is the genetic element, which is in a very strong in cancer, and this tendency to develop cancer in certain types of cancer, it comes from the genetic material from our parents, and but I may not develop it, or I may develop and cure easily, as if it was just small accident in my journey. It depends on what I have to experience or not. If I have a situation in my life, and especially my genetic codes, that matches exactly the kind of experience that is there imprinted in my perispirits, that will resonate, and the problem develops in a much larger way than it would develop otherwise. But we can't tell exactly why we are undergoing this problem and why we are not. Sometimes it is just a physical problem that we carry during our entire life that will help us exercise patience, that will invite us to be optimistic, even having that for such a long time. And sometimes we see people, and Paralympics are wonderful because they show us how we can overcome whatever physical problem we have. And we see these guys doing amazing things, sometimes without arms, legs, eyes, and they are there. And if something like that happened to us today, I always say to myself, basically, we'll just sit down on a corner and and say, that's it, it's over. Life is over for me. I just have to wait for the day to return to spirit, because there's nothing left to do. And we see them overcoming the difficulties and doing things that are unimaginable for us. And this is just an example what problems can be to us, an invitation to overcome and to exercise virtues in us. This is all about physical life. Hi, Liz.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Munir, what I'm going to talk about now is based on what Christine said about Alzheimer's, because it is something that for years I've been reflecting upon. My grandmother had Alzheimer's or dementia. I am not very sure, but I know that she was like a little baby at the end of her life. And my mother-in-law had vascular dementia, which in many cases, the person who's affected by it can get quite violent and quite paranoid. So I've been reflecting on that, and there is a book from André Luiz. I think it is called In a Greater World. And he talks about the brain, and he talks about where the mental life of the person is more focused upon, like if it is more in the instinctive part of our minds or not, and I don't know, kind of, relaying more or less what the neuroscientists of today explain to us about the primordial brain and, the front cortex and all of this. But also there is another book from Manuel Filomeno de Miranda. I can't remember exactly because it's in Portuguese. I don't think it is translated to English yet. And in that book, he sees someone, he experienced, the journey of this person that was just like a shell. He wanted mentally not to interact with anything, even as he detached from his body during sleep time. He would not interact. He would be, how can I say, enclosed within himself. So for any reason, obviously there are in every journey for every individual, there is going to be a different reason, like you said, Moni, about, you know, our learning experience that we have to encounter. But for some people, and I dare say for my grandmother and maybe my mother-in-law, like remorse, resentment takes us into a journey within that sometimes can be quite, how can I say, makes us feel so guilty inside, and it kind of closes us into that shell. And it may be the beginning of this process. And just to put out there, like today, science is studying the link between menopause and Alzheimer's or dementia as well. To say that part, and because most of the people that are affected by these two diseases are women, so to have this link, and then you were saying, Moni, about when people are getting to a certain part of life, they begin to reflect on the past. So obviously, in the second part of our life, after the 50s, we begin to kind of very slowly looking back, isn't it? So yeah. There are lots of little aspects that we can say, but like you just said, Moni, we can have this gene. I don't know if people already identified the gene for Alzheimer's, but we can have the gene of many diseases in our body, but it is our life mentally, how we think and react to life, how we think about life, our values, that is going to be the, even like before our incarnation or after, or during it, that is going to, how can I say, trigger this process of the, you know, the installation of these sort of diseases. But yeah, there are these two books, and it is worth to read the book from André Luiz, In a Greater World, and it talks exactly about things like that. And there is an example of someone that wants to be in this shell himself. So it is about the spirit, isn't it? It is about how the spirit is dealing with all its emotions and with what they have done in life.
Yes, yes, indeed. And everything is an experience for us. And when this experience is related to our thinking machine on the physical side, which is the brain, you know, of course, it affects the spirit more directly, you know, because it's the machine through which the spirit manifests itself in the physical world. And if it has to do with the spirit, and our spirit is full of scars from the past, you know, we are still far away from, you know, becoming a pure spirit. So whatever we bring from our recent experiences, which are negative, they are there and they express themselves. That's why sometimes in a problem that affects my brain, for instance, I become violent, I become grumpy, I become, you know, all of a sudden. Why? Because it's this side that still needs to be, you know, cleansed, as it were, through experience. But it's part of it, you know, it's part of it. We as a spiritists, we shouldn't be afraid of the experiences that are necessary. We should be afraid of our negative reactions towards them. This is what should, you know, we should concentrate our effort on, you know, always trying to look at the bright side of things. Because if we believe that we are not here on holidays, we are not here without supervision, and everything that happens in our life is just, you know, at random, by chance, or we've been chosen to be punished, or no, it isn't like that. It's always an opportunity. But unfortunately, because we still bring a side that is very negative, we need experiences that sometimes are not very pleasant or palatable. but that's what we need. It's like taking medication. It is very bitter. You know, some of those oils. I remember taking a vitamin D in the past. Was liver oil from fish, you know, from cod. And that was disgusting. But my mother used to say, this is necessary, it's important. So, and yeah. So it is like that. It is important, it is necessary. And it's when we are aware of this, then we become, you know, more in peace when facing these things. Sandra?
Oh, I'll try to be very quick.
Yeah.
So very important for me, because I'm reading another book for Andrea Luiz, Workers of the Life Eternal, and says about a man, his name is Gotuso. What happened with him? He was a very strong Catholic. When he died, of course, he had all this Catholic funeral, the priest was with him during his last minutes, and then the priest told him, and then that is my question, because I believe priests, they believe in what they say, and of course the person also believe. The priest said, oh, I can promise you that as soon as you go to heaven, the angels will be waiting for you, and you are going to be sitting on the Lord's feet. However, when he left this the earth, didn't happen like that, and he was really, really angry, frustrated, with mental confusion. So then, Munir, my question is, I believe the priests, they teach, they do what they learn, what they believe, and the members of the church also follow. So my question is that fair? Sorry.
We have responsibility for what we say to people. And of course, the size of this responsibility, the weight of this responsibility depends on our intention. Because sometimes we truly believe in that. And what we say to people is what we believe. So we have less responsibility than someone who manipulates people and convince them of certain things because they have interest in convincing them of that. So this is, you know, is different. And on the other side as well, you know, if we believe in something that we were told, if that is convenient for us, because, okay, so I can, you know, I can sin during the whole week, and then on Saturday I go and confess, and my sins are, you know, forgiven. So it's very convenient for me. So yeah, okay, I believe in that because it's convenient. But you know, we have, you know, a different perception of things, and you know, can change and don't, because as I said, it's convenient for us. Yes, we are more guilty than the one who was very, very naive and accepted that and believed, you know, oh yes, perhaps that is what, you know, this is all about. And then when they find the reality in the spiritual world, they may not be that shocked compared to the one, because he didn't use that as an excuse to make mistakes, you know, to you know, do wrong. Intention behind things are very important in this sense. Hi, Jocelyn.
Not okay.
I try to be short. Thank you. It was, I think, about what Liz said about Alzheimer and dementia. It's not the same thing, but is when can develop another. Sorry, maybe it's easy, is it? Because I read about too much. I have partners have diagnosed dementia, and but it's the beginning and have medicine. So, but I feel he had something almost already started. And I have been one, I don't remember, it was in, I think it was I would say Tiscant, Germany. It was in Germany, a wonderful symposium about, and one doctor, she's talked about demence and Alzheimer. I hope somebody have been there because it was so wonderful, fantastic, fantastic to understand. But is one disease, so there's not. I don't know why, but it happens, and we must be very, very patient and and sorry, he doesn't want to know about the spiritual doctrine. Sometimes if I have time, and then that time he's a little bit open, I talk about to him because he's a wonderful person, and I never could understand why it happens. But I know I am spirit, and I know it's come from the past, of course. But it's he was so wonderful person. He is a wonderful person. I think he will be continuing a wonderful person.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Celie. And we shouldn't forget people around that patient who are also affected. So these problems, they don't come just for those directly affected by it, but also those close to that person. Because it's not easy to have someone in our home who is facing a disease like Alzheimer's or dementia or any other disease, especially when it affects our perception of reality and our reaction. I see, Liz, I see your hand raised. Okay.
Thank you. I forgot to put it down.
Okay. Right. So that's good. Good that you're asking questions. And I think now you will have more questions to ask because this is a very, very interesting topic, which is concerning past and future lives. And 290, question 15. Can spirits reveal our past lives to us? If I ask here, who is not curious about our past experiences, our past lives? And I believe all of us are, yeah? And the answer is, God sometimes allows them to be revealed depending on the objective. This is very important, depending on the objective. If they will aid in your edification and instruction, these revelations will be authentic. And in such case, they almost always will occur spontaneously and completely unexpectedly. However, God never allows it to satisfy idle curiosity. And the thing is, most of us have idle curiosity to know about who we were. And we always expect that in our previous incarnations, we were someone famous, rich, handsome, and well, yes, yeah, and we see that some spirits, they take advantage of that. They tell, yes, you were a prince, you were this or that, and then we should ask ourselves in this case, how many princes were good in the Middle Ages, in the past, and lords and dukes and queens and kings, and how many of them were truly good? Even, when we are told that we were someone important, we should ask ourselves, it doesn't mean, that that person was a good one. So we, on the contrary, we should, expect a lot of wrongs, from that incarnation. But what is the objective of that? If we were to come to this world fully aware of our past existences, we would know that. But we don't. And why is that? There is a purpose for that. And in some cases, it is, it is important. It is, for the purpose of instruction, edification, to help the person understand that. And I know, for instance, a situation where the person is having difficulty to overcome a certain situation in life. And when that person gets some enlightenment about the reasons for that, in a past experience, in a past life, then the person says, okay, when the person has this view, okay, so I'm in a process of making amendments, learning to do things in a different way compared to, the way I did in the past. And I'm returning to life in good, the evil I did in the past. And then the person accepts that. And then has even, more faith in the future. But in most cases, it is not important for us to know. And we will see that those spirits who are not that advanced, they take advantage of that just to amuse themselves, telling things that are not real for us. So the question that comes is, why do certain spirits never hesitate to make these revelations? They are pranksters who amuse themselves at your expense. You should usually regard revelations of this nature as false. Usually regard revelations of this nature as false, or at least suspect it if they do not have an eminently serious and useful purpose. I think this is the key not to be fooled, is actually to, well, we start assuming that it's false unless we begin to see some elements that point in a different direction. And if they don't have a useful purpose, why are they telling me this? Is this going to help me in any way? No, that incarnation is over. And probably due to my situation today, it wasn't a good one. I didn't do good things. Otherwise, I would be in a different position today. What is important is for us to look at us today, where we are, people we have around us, what we think when, faced with daily situations in life. If we, look positively towards life or in a negative way, what comes into our mind, in certain situations, and how we are going to see ourselves in the near future. What do you think, is expecting for us in the near future? This will give us an idea of, what has been done in the past, because whatever is in our past, we bring today, not our social position, not our surname, not our nationality, no, nothing related to that, but we bring our good deeds and our evil and our bad deeds from the past, our wrongs. They are with us. It is in our luggage, in our rucksack, right here in our bag. Some carry a heavy one, some carry a lighter one, but we bring that. That is what counts. And today we are in the process of taking this load slowly, piece by piece, from our back. And the situation we have in life is to help us do that. So it's not for us to look to the past or look into the future. It's to look at the present. The present is the result of all that we have done and who we have been in the past. led us to today, this moment. And of course, depending how we benefit ourselves from these moments, we know that the future there is waiting for us. It will be the results of our hard work to, overcome our imperfections, to rid ourselves from them and develop our virtues. We have so many spiritual virtues dormant, awaiting to be developed. And where are we going to develop them? We're going to bed one night and then wake up the following day, with all the beautiful spiritual faculties fully developed. No, we know it doesn't work that way. Actually we develop them slowly, day by day. First, to taking, away what is hindering us, what is blocking them, which is the wrongs from our past, the mistakes, the lack of understanding of the reality of life. And that's why you should be grateful to be here today, to be studying, to be receiving the inspiration in our study, because it is a wonderful opportunity for us. Wonderful opportunity. We start to see life from a different perspective. We start to give the right value, or closer to the right value, to things in life, to things, to people, to situations, to, the material resources that we have. So that's the important thing today, and not to be concerned with our past. And as Kardec is saying here, we can easily be fooled, especially when we're full of pride and all the imperfections that we bring. It's very easy for mocking spirits just to come and take advantage of that and create an embarrassing situation for us, or take us from the reality of who we are and what we need to do. Mocking spirits have fun by flattering the vanity of persons, by revealing pretentious antecedents. These are mediums and believers who take what such spirits say at face value in this regard, without even noticing that the current state of their spirit in no way would justify the position they believed they had occupied. It's also very common to say, oh, you were one of the apostles, you were very close to Jesus, you were helping Jesus when he was here. And so, well, if 2,000 years ago I was helping Jesus, I would find myself today in a much better situation. It doesn't make sense, And sometimes when I identify myself with certain periods in our history, I tend to think, I wasn't a good person. We say, very few people were very good in those days. So why would I be the one and find myself in such a situation today? No. And don't walk backwards, we walk forward. So when we look at ourselves and know exactly who we are, that's why it's so important for us to look at ourselves, who we are, to understand our virtues, our strong points, our weak points, the SWOT analysis in us. What are my strong points and what are my weak points? And accept that. Yeah. So let me plan now a way to, develop myself in this reality, in my reality. This is my reality. And to think that, I was powerful, I was, commanding the world, I was the Roman emperor or wherever. And today I find myself with, so great difficulties in life, and because we don't lose what we gained. We don't lose. We can't say that, oh, I was so intelligent in those days. We may have some difficulties today, but inside us, we have a life which is the result of all these experiences. Hi, Christine.
I'm there. just when you were speaking, it brought back something that I experienced. I did past life regression, and part of it was that I wasn't a warrior. I wasn't a king or queen. I was just this person that lived in this very basic house with another person who, even though he looked different, I felt like it was my husband that I have now. And so I thought, well, there's obviously something here that I've got to learn, because I can recognize his spirit. And I think to myself, it's probably there's a reason that we're together and that we have to learn from each other. And so this is our, I don't know how many chances, but say this is our second chance to try and work that out.
Yeah. You know, there's therapies, and I say now for the purpose of therapy and well conducted by someone who is prepared to do that. Yes, we carry problems, you know, from these experiences in the past. And it is important because in those days we couldn't sort them out on the spot. Sometimes it is important to sort them out today because somehow they are like you know, an open wound in us, and we need to heal them. Yeah. It's different just out of curiosity to say that we were, you know, so and so full of, no, we are going sometimes in these therapies, we go specifically to a certain moment with, you know, certain people. And in that context, the professionals start working on us and to change our perception of that moment so that we heal that wound that we've been carrying for too long. When it's done by, you know, a well-prepared a professional, yes, it is valid. Yeah. Hi, Liz.
Hi there, everyone. Yeah, I'm particularly working on this past lives and everything at the moment, and the environment where we choose to be, the environment we choose to live in has been pointed out to me with the recurring problems that I'm having in this environment. And this was told to me by my teacher quite a while ago, but I'm working on this on the thread, and it's quite a good reply I got yesterday. Sometimes the way forward is paradoxically looking back. I suggest that you take time to reread the feedback you received on another thread, which was about my environment. Hopefully, what you didn't see applicable or valuable back then takes on new meanings today as we advance. Yeah? Life has an interesting way of providing us with lessons, and ignoring them is hardly ever a good idea. Yes, it's not where you are, but what you see. But we can also expand that to mean that whatever you see determines where you are physically, emotionally, materially, and mentally.
Yes. Yes, that's what, you know, we were discussing. The situation, our present situation, has a lot to do with our past. No, actually, we are where we are due to our past. And of course, we have to face. It's not for us just to ignore. Okay, it will go fine. No, you know, we are being revisited by situations that we failed in the past. And we need to learn to look at them, revisit them, and then see them in a different way. As we were saying in the beginning, at a certain point in life, we start to look back. Sometimes we regret certain mistakes from the past. And it's the same with our present situation. Situations that come to us again, for us to look at them in a different perspective now. And then we change. In spiritual terms, we change. You say, now I understand how much harm I've caused to such and such a person. because of these and because of that. There's a famous spiritist lecturer here in Brazil, Haroldo Dutra Dias, and he said the other day, he was so adamant that, you know, somehow shocked me, but he said, today you pull the trigger, but inevitably tomorrow you will be at the receiving end, because you need to experience the results of your acts. And he said, today you are here pulling the trigger, but tomorrow you will be at the receiving end. Why is that? Is it punishment? No. We are gaining experience. Then next time we won't pull the trigger. We will find different ways to sort the problem, and not that one. Sometimes out of ignorance, we don't know any better. We do that without understanding the full consequences of that. And to do that, we have to be at the other end. Then next experience will be a similar situation, but I'll be at the receiving end, not the one that is scored. I found that really, really interesting, you know, the perception of that. Hyena.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to quickly come back to the message that we had in the mediumship book, and it also I think summarizes a bit this discussion. The spirits, they try to sort of mock us and tell us about our past lives, but what is really important to my mind, and this is something that I heard from my teacher of regression, that it's important to experience that for our own, because when we see ourselves, our past lives, and we go through these experiences of, I don't know, not being a good person or being a good person and doing something good, then we can really process it within ourselves, and then we can have a lesson, and then we can be a better person today, and we can have that, you know, lesson and learning from it. Because when not only spirits, but also other people there, and right now internet and the resources are so full of things, and many people come to you, and I don't know, YouTube, and so many ways you can do, and people will try to tell you what you were. Oh, you were this in past life, you were that in past life, but it doesn't bring any purpose, it doesn't bring any value. And that's, so I really concord to what is written in the book, and also with personal experience, that it doesn't make sense to listen and to believe in what other people tell you about yourself, but rather having this experience for yourself. Like, if there is a way and you really want to know how you can be a better person today based on the regression and the past lives that you had, then try finding a teacher or someone who can guide you through and live that experience, because then you really live it again, and then you can really get those lessons, and then you can process it and be a better person.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ina. Liz?
Hi, I just wanted to mention that sometimes to know some things of the past can be like, how can I say, a support for us to tolerate, let's say, things that is happening to us in this life. I'll tell an example of a person who was able to have part of her past lives revealed to her as she was going through a bout of terrible diseases, and she continued to have terrible diseases. So she had various cancers in many parts of her body. She had a bacteria that nearly killed her, consuming part of her lungs. And she was very, very angry with life, with God and everything. So it was revealed to her why that was happening. And she kind of understood the message and kind of learned then to be able to be, how can I say, I think sometimes she feels like, okay, I'm on this, but now I know why. So let's kind of just hold tight, and someday I'll be okay after. And that was, an example that I wanted to share with you guys.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Yeah, we still have a few a couple of minutes. Let's finish this answer here, and then we stop. It is pure vanity, and both mocking spirits and humans amuse themselves with it. It would be more logical and in keeping with the progressive evolution of beings if such people had ascended instead of descended, which would be more honorable for them. In order to accept these revelations, it would be necessary for them to have occurred spontaneously through several mediums who did not know one another, besides the medium who received them in the first place. Then there would be reason enough for them to be believed. And it's very clear here the method that Kardec uses. He doesn't accept something that comes from one single medium and one single spirit. For something to show signs of truth, it has to come from different mediums who don't know one another, and of course from different spirits at different moments. Then we start to accept that as true. And in this particular case, he's talking about our previous incarnations and who we were. So I think before we finish here, the important thing is, no matter what we are told, the important thing is our present reality. It doesn't mean who I was, what is is in the past, is over, it's there. Nothing I can do regarding that. If it was good, my life was wonderful, it's finished. If it wasn't wonderful, as well. And today I inherit what I did and didn't do in those opportunities I had. So the important thing is today and tomorrow. Okay. That was time for us to finish our study today. I'll just make a note here for next week. So next week is going to be our last Saturday in September. It's going to be the 28th, yeah. I can, yeah.
Rafael will not be here today, so I can do the vibrations.
Okay. I'll just stop recording and then we can do that.